Hey guys, so today's topic, I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself and my most recent relationship. And I'll explain a little bit why I'm talking about it, expounding on it. So I'm sure we can all agree that 2020 has not been the best year for any of us. 2020 has been a year of drastic change, a year full of death, fear, but I feel like it's also been a year of empowerment, a year of speaking up, a year of change, a year of demanding and knowing your value and trying to step into your worth. 2020, the remainder of 2020 for me has been just being open because I'm a very private person. I don't like friendships. I don't get along with friendships very well. So if I do have friendships, they're mostly males who I know won't bring certain drama. I don't have time for. Um, but my last relationship um, left a lot of trauma for me. And that relationship I think it was that the topping on the cake, the cup, the whatever it is, the liquid to push the cup overflow. Um, I'll explain a little bit about what happened with that. So the reason why my relationship is now ended is because I caught him with another woman. Feelings I've been having since we were in a relationship that was trying to get verified from him, and he wouldn't, say anything. Basically, certain actions he did made me feel like there might have been someone else. Um, I caught him that night. I think this was about August 2nd or August 3rd at a woman's house. A day we were supposed to hang out that he canceled and basically kept saying he was paying some bills and running some errands, but I knew what he was running. So I showed up at this person's house, the woman's house, and lo and behold, his car was there, and so was him and her. And what hurt it about the experience, sometimes it's not even the action, it's not the act, it's the action. I want to say it's not what you do, sometimes it's what you say or how you do things. But when I caught him with her and I made him notice that I saw him, his response to her was, "This is the crazy person that I was telling you about." And that hurt it. That hurt it for many reasons. But I got in touch with her that night and she got in touch with me a few days. Well, when I reached out to her, she didn't respond. But about 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days later, she gave me a call. She knew my first, she knew my last name, and she knew my number. So I'm not going to say how I knew hers, but I'm guessing he told her mine. Anyway, she called to set the record straight about some things, and we talked, and she asked me questions. I asked her. And what she did clarify was that they were not in a relationship. So she said, actually, until that night, I haven't seen him since 2019, really. And she said, they speak on the phone sometimes, maybe twice a month, which one I didn't even know what was going on. And when I did ask him questions about her, he was pretending like they weren't even in contact. So either way, he was lying. But she said that they were not in a relationship. She's with somebody she's been with for 2 years. But she said honestly, she was contemplating possibly going back to him because of something her child said to her. But she said that he told her we broke up in March because I was crazy. Now remember, this is August, around August 2nd, August 3rd. Our 6 month anniversary would have been August. 6 months of actually dating would have been August 10th. So to her, we broke up March. To me, we were in a full blown relationship until I saw him with her in August. That relationship really messed me up because, for many reasons, I'm going to start with my reasons. I'm going to start with the reasons that include my children. and then I'm gonna end with the reasons that include men. So for me, I was raped when I was younger. I was raped a few times, but one in particular, the first occurrence that happened, the first situation. I didn't tell anyone, and I was young. I was in my teens, early teens. I was scared, and I felt like it was my fault. I literally felt like I was a dirty girl and I deserved it. Like I shouldn't have been there anyway because it was a boyfriend of mine, and I cut school. I went to his house, and I didn't tell anyone. I was always a poet. I've always loved poetry, reading it, writing it. Um, so I wrote it in my journal. I wrote the experience in my journal, and I hid the journal under my bed. Lo and behold, my nosy sister did find it. My mom found out. My mom almost practically killed herself. Like she almost walked into cars. Like it was so devastating for her. And I didn't get the justice that I deserved. They didn't get in trouble. Basically, this was their first offense. The judge felt like they've never done anything serious before, and I say they because there was multiple people in that house, in that room. And I made a promise to my mom. I made a promise to myself that I will always speak up. I will never keep something like this inside. So I've grown as an adult to try to. I always want to talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. As you can see, I've already expressed before. I write like I speak. I speak a lot and I write fast. But I made a promise and a vow to myself to always speak up because I don't want a situation like that to ever occur again. And I don't speak up. And it bothers me. And I don't want to live with that in my heart. And I feel like it's important for people to release because it's not good to keep things like that inside. So fast forward, I am that person that I want to talk. I want to talk. I want to settle. So despite this man cheating on me, basically, because whether or not he was doing it the whole time or he was trying to go back that day, he was physically touching someone else. And he was in someone else's presence, in their face. That was not me. And this was my reaction now. I'm calling him, texting him. From then, today's the 28th. That man still to this moment have not. I spoke to him once on the phone, and when he did talk to me on the phone, he blamed me the whole time. I shouldn't have came there. I had my kids in the car because I did have my kids in the car. It wasn't intentional. Trust me, I didn't go to the fight. Anybody that knows me knows I'll fight. I can fight, but that's not my intention because I'm an adult now and I'm a mom. I actually jumped in the car with my kids to go for a drive because he had promised them a trip to the lake that day when he called and canceled because he was busy going to his ex's house. So they were really pressuring me, like, listen, you promised us. We want to go. And so I was taking them to the lake. But the closer I got to the lake, the more this little intuition, this feeling in my stomach kept nabbing at me. So I decided to go investigate. And honestly, I was planning to take my kids back home, but there was just a voice in my head that said, if you did, you would miss it. And it's true because a little bit after I got there, he was leaving. So had I dropped him home and went, I wouldn't have seen him, and then I wouldn't have been able to get what I needed to get. I think that was God's moment of saying you need to see. But anyway, he spent the whole time on the phone accusing me of whatever it is, and you shouldn't have got there. What kind of woman? I didn't think that you would bring your kids to that. Now, all the time blaming me, despite the fact that there was reasons that caused me to act. That was a reaction to his action, but he still didn't take accountability for his actions. And he's texted maybe once before, after, like once before and once after, basically saying, he needs to work on himself or whatever, and blah, 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 blah. Still no accountability, no apology, no sincere. Like he's avoiding me, complete avoidance. But I've been calling and texting and calling and texting, and he will never understand why I did that. A part of me, I was doing it for me because I know that I will start to mentally break down. Like I will start to emotionally break down. When I get super stressed out, I don't eat and I don't sleep. I don't care if it's a boyfriend. I don't care if it's a best friend and she's my homegirl. If you hurt me because I know I don't set out to ever hurt somebody, it bothers me in ways that it may not bother you. I haven't gotten to that point yet in life where what people do don't affect me. Everything you do bothers me. And I know I need to work on that. That's my own issues I got to work out. But I appreciate my innocence in life, and I appreciate my heart. Like I said before in previous videos, I'm not an accident. I wasn't accidentally made. The qualities, the personalities I have is what I was told to display through God. Forgiveness, love, understanding, patience, mildness, goodness, faith, self-control. I'm working on self-control, but you understand. But everything about me, it's what I know I'm supposed to be as a child of God, and I'm trying to exercise that. So if we're in beef, I always try to be peaceable. I'm always going to be the one to try to make amends. I will keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, because in my mind it's going to bother me. I can't go to God fully if my conscience is not clear, because I know you and I are at risk. So that's one of the reasons. Two, I had pain. He was leaving me with trauma, and I wanted him to stop it. I knew that only him could stop the pain he did to me. And I wanted him to be a man to say, I'm sorry, to say, I apologize. Honestly, if he had done that, if he had said I was sorry and taken ownership, accountability for himself, we could have been friends. Because here's the worst part, which is the third reason why I was trying. We worked together. And I'm not there now because I'm still, our company furloughed. He was there longer, so he got called back first. But we work together, and I'm thinking of all of this because I am a deep thinker. I'm an analytical person, sometimes over analytical, but I'm thinking about the awkwardness. I don't want to be at my job. I love my job. I really do. That's the first job I've had that I really say I love. Like, I'm obsessed with it. Like, everything about it, it makes me be me. I don't have to interact too much with too many phony people. I just do my job and I get out, and it makes me feel good about myself. So I'm trying to make the peace so I don't have to go to work and have to worry about him and I not speaking, because where we work, we are closely speaking to each other. We have to literally, sometimes he might have to help me lift up a box or two. So I'm trying to preserve that friendship or work relationship as well, because I'm a mature person, and not every relationship you get in is going to work out, but you can still be peaceable if you close it out the right way. Which leads to my fourth thing. I needed clarity for myself. I needed closure that he doesn't care that I need, and he doesn't feel like I should get. And I needed that closure, and he refused to give it to me. And so I kept calling, reaching out, and then that inner child that's damaged. That's my fifth or sixth thing. I don't remember what number I'm on, but that inner child that's damaged, I don't want him to leave me. Whether it's a relationship or friendship, I don't want him to leave me. I wanted him to stay. I wanted him to take away the hurt. I wanted him to be the only man that didn't leave. I wanted him to continue the faith that I was building up finally in men through the pretense that he was giving me. Because honestly, before him, I didn't trust nobody as far as I could throw them anymore because of the stuff that I've been through. When I met him, I actually told him about my relationship that I got out of in November, and that was traumatizing for me. And I've asked him not to do the same. Let's communicate. As a matter of fact, he said he was a man of God. Let's not ever let the sun set without us, without us speaking, and with us being in a provoked state. So, like I said, these were all the things he was saying and doing that made me fall in love with him. But the love that he was building up in me from the pretense he was giving me, he was still saying that it was scary, and I was crazy. But you were selling me a lie, so I guess that makes us crazy. But anyway, so I kept calling and texting, and I'm not gonna lie, his rejection was another trauma. Not only his cheating was a trauma, his lies was a trauma, but the rejection is nothing worse than calling somebody and them treating you like you were never in existence. And in my brain, I'm trying to figure out the past 6 months, was that all a lie? The I love you. Even that day when we were supposed to meet up before I went to her house that evening, we ended the conversation by I love you, babe. So was this whole thing a lie? And the night before, which was the Sunday, we had spoken, and he had said, I don't encourage him enough, which I didn't believe because I know me, but I didn't want to argue. And we said we were going to do a fresh start. Let's start clean. I won't mention his ex. I won't mention him cheating, despite the fact that the only reason why I was mentioning things is because of how he was treating me. Once again, me always being an understanding person, trying to be peaceable and trying to just, you know, I said, okay. So we said Sunday night we were going to start fresh. We love each other. And he was like, you've been trying to help me and push me to become a better man for far too long. I'm listening now. I need to get it together. So Monday, I was surprised as hell when he was doing the same thing again, that he did that caused us to get into this situation where I'm accusing him of cheating and wondering if he's cheated. So that's why I decided Monday night to investigate. So I mentioned a few areas where that he affected me. Now I'm going to mention how he affected me in regards to my children. When I met him, I told him my children were damaged. My children are broken. They're beautiful, they're smart, they're intelligent, but they have daddy complex. I'm not going to act like they don't. My oldest daughter is a product of rape, and she's never met her dad, really. Um, my daughter, she's met someone that I honestly, when I was with somebody in a relationship, we were having sex, and I thought that was her dad. It wasn't until maybe in her first year when she started looking differently that she resembles the guy that I knew did something with me that I didn't want. And that's when I realized, hey, this is not this person's child. She is a product of rape. So honestly, I haven't gotten around to really addressing that or even talking to her about that. All she knows is I'm mom and I am her dad. So my younger two children now are, my ex-husband is a psychopath and they haven't seen him really since 2011, besides him dragging us in and out of court every year and then turning back and say, I don't want him. So my kids have daddy issues. And I've told him before that if I didn't want him to meet my kids in the beginning, because if I knew that if they did, they will they see daddy in anyone's face that I'm around. It could be even my homeboy. If I'm around, they're gonna automatically feel like, Mom, do you like this guy? They're gonna want him to be their father figure. You understand? So I've expressed that to him. As a matter of fact, when we started hanging out, we were hanging out in the car. Like if he'll drop me home after work, we'll hang out in my car or his car. And it became to a point where if you know me and you know my kids are like super obsessed with me and I with them. So we will be out here hanging out in the car. My daughter will come out here. She'll have her skates on. My son will have his scooter. And they're like knocking the window. Hi, hi. So after a while, it became really hard to kind of separate the two. So that's how he was introduced to my children. But he knew about their trauma. He knew their sensitivity. I told him already, the minute they get involved with you, they're going to want to be all over you. And that was the case. Like they are in love with him. My son is in love with him. My daughter obsessed with him to the point where sometimes something she say, I'm like, mm-mm. She'd be like, we gonna get married. Like she loved him. My kids proposed to him with a little ring. They surprised him and I one day. We were sitting out on the porch and they made this little fake ring because they didn't have money at the time to buy their own little ring. And they proposed to him and he accepted. He said yes, and even to the point of letting my daughter on different occasions, like talking to her, she'll ask him about the wedding. Can she plan it? And can she choose the colors? And he gave her the okay. So to them, there's a marriage, there's a love, there's a union that he said he was going to be in their lives. Like he told my son he's going to do things with him, and basically be that father figure. He's painting that picture to them. um my daughter ended up buying this little fake ring thing on Amazon or whatever for him. So my kids are obsessed. I tried to keep them from it, but at this point you are rolling with it and you're telling them it's okay. So I'm thinking we're serious. We even got to a point where we sat at the lake one day and made a list of our goals and we swapped. He took mine, I took his, so we can push each other. And one of his goals was get married on June 2021 of next year. So in my mind, I'm thinking that include us because we're together. So I'm building and we're building based on his promises. And my daughter will draw pictures of him and us. Even the other day, like July, he bought us a dog. It didn't go the way we wanted because the pet store, the dog was like $3,500, but the pet store wasn't a pet store that is a good one. I thought it was, but a lot of their dogs ended up sick, so we had to bring the pet back, get our money back. But the fact is, he was building stuff. The dog even had our name, both our last name attached to it. So here we are in a relationship thinking that we are moving forward with this man that was not. That hurts. That hurts because then when he walked away, he had no regards for my kids. As a matter of fact, I'll give you an example of what happened. A few weeks back, we went to the lake because it's my favorite place. He introduced us to the lake, but it's my happy place. We went to the lake. Now, this is after everything. I found him with the girl. He's been ignoring me. He drove into the lake. He didn't know I was going to be there. I didn't know he was going to show up. He drove into the lake, saw us, me and the kids, and he spun around real fast and drove out like fast. Nothing. No, nothing. He knew that they've been texting him. My daughter's been texting him, and he's been even texting with her back. Even though he ignored me, he texted back with her. But he saw them at the lake and didn't even say. He could have shot me a text. Listen, I still don't want to speak to you, but send the kids over to say hi because I know they want to see me and I missed them. The funny thing is that Sunday before I caught him with the girl Monday, he had even so that's why we were going to the lake. He said, bring the kids to. I was going to come to the lake by myself because he said he wanted to talk and just also get some clarification on some things so we can fully move forward. And he was like, bring the kids because I miss them and I love them. I need some hugs. So you're pretending you love them and you care about them. And then here we are. You came through in the lake and saw them and disregarded them. Period. He turned around and zoom passed. I'm not going to lie. My kids cried at the lake. They cried. They cried. And it was a pain that I felt like I caused on them, not intentionally, but I should have never let this man come into their lives. Like, that's how I felt at that time. I blame myself, but they cried. To this moment, I know my daughter still texts him. She really, and I took away her phone privileges, but you know what? I've never been the type of person to tell you bad things about a person. I'm gonna make you find out for yourself. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to kids, especially with kids with men, you can't, especially girl kids with men, you can't do that because what happened is if you're telling them nonsense about this person and they feel like it's not true, they're going to investigate. And if they tell them a lie that they are willing to believe, especially a child with a daddy complex, they will hate you for it. They will hate you. My mom never sat there and said anything bad about my father. I was able to learn at my own time and that my father was crazy. And granted, this person isn't their father. So yes, people could say, well, you should protect him because that's not his father. They don't have no attachment, but it's still the same thing. If they love him the way they do, my kids, my oldest daughter don't like nobody. She doesn't like nobody, but she loves him. She opened up to him in the way she opened up to my sister. She's a very quiet introvert child. She's into her room. She's drawing. She's reading her comics. She's not into nobody. She don't like nobody. None of the guys I've ever dated has ever stirred her boat. She hate them all. He was the only one she loved. They shared so much of the same things, the same color, loved the same thing. Him and Courtney. Courtney is different though. Courtney is an amazing man that shines. He stands above every other man I've ever met in my life, and there's nobody in this world that will make me view that man differently. So when I speak about Courtney, I put him on a different planet, in a different space, in a different energy because that man is marvelous. But besides from Courtney, who is just a downright a beautiful person inside out and around, that was the only guy my daughter's ever connected to. Period. You understand? And so I'm gonna let her figure him out herself. The more she texts and he don't respond, she'll figure it out and she'll stop. Then she'll understand. But so he's impacted my daughters. He's impacted my son. My son cried, and the worst part is the Sunday before I saw him, the Monday, my son came to me and said, you know, the hardest thing about hanging out with Mr. William is I want to call him my dad, but I know you'll be mad at me because I don't let my kids call other people their dad because that's not their dad. You understand? Their father may be a jackass, but I'm not going to try to force a father role down a person that hasn't said that they want that yet. Now, if he had said to me like, listen, they can call me stepdad and we can get married and we could do this, then I would give them that right. But until then, I'm not going to have you calling him something that he's not saying he wants because he doesn't deserve that title yet. You understand? And he has to earn that title and he has to want that title. So that's how he impacted my children. We spoke about how he impacted me. Now, how he impacted my view on men is this. I was this person that I would jump into any situation. Like if my ex hurt me, I left it at my ex. If I'm getting in a relationship with John, I left Miguel to Miguel. I'm gonna view John as a clean slate, a blank page, and whatever John do, that's when the writing starts. You understand? I don't sit there and pick up a book on John based on Miguel. No, I'm gonna let John write his own stories by his actions, by his words. But now after this person, I don't think I will ever get back into another relationship because honestly, he hurt me so deeply. It's scary because this is a person that I spoke to about my trauma. I was honest. He was the first man I was fully honest with everything about myself. And he said it was so bad that we were like twins. I called him my twin in the beginning because the things he expressed is the things that I expressed. Some things he expressed before I even expressed about his pain. And we was just like twins. We would never hurt each other. That's what we said. Like I said, I'll never hurt him that way. He said he won't hurt me that way. And we both begged each other, please don't. Like he's like, I can't do that shit. I can't deal with this hurt. Please don't turn out to be crazy or don't turn out to hurt me, and vice versa. So that hurt because he was telling a whole story, painting a whole story, painting a whole facade, knowing that despite the fact that him saying he's hurt and he has trauma, he was putting hurt and trauma into my life, and that was not acceptable. So honestly, after that, I'm definitely afraid of man. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot to offer, but I don't feel like I want to give it to anybody anymore because I don't feel like I don't feel like I have the greatest judgment, and I feel like I'm a repeat offender. I repeat the offense with these I keep repeating the same crazy men and pattern, and it could be because I need to address my traumas and my insecurities and build myself up. Whatever it is right now, I just don't feel like a relationship is something for me. My mom got married when I was 30 something, maybe 33 years old, 32. I would say maybe 31. Maybe I have to wait until my kids are big enough to be out of the house, because the last thing I need is to give them more trauma, to give them more hurt, and introduce them to more hurtful people. Because honestly, I don't understand how a person could hurt somebody like that. I definitely don't understand how a person could involve a child and hurt children and know that you're hurting children and be okay. I know hurt people, but when it comes to children, it should be off limits. Like he looked into into my children's eyes. Like we go places together. We went away for my birthday together. Like like they love him, and he knows that. He knows that my kids love him to pieces, and the fact that he never even called to say like I'm sorry to them. They were in the car. Granted, he didn't ask me to bring them, but he knows that they know they're hurt. I don't know if it's just he's pure evil or pride or ego or whatever it is, but to me, you at least owe them an apology. You owe me one too. You owe me one. I deserve that much, but you at least owe them an apology. You at least owe them the decency of responding to their text. You understand? And I would have been fine even if we spoke and it's just like, listen, I just want to spend time with the kids sometimes. I would be okay with him coming here and taking them to the park, because he's never, besides those things that he started to do, he's never done anything that showed me to be a harm or a threat around my kids. But now I wouldn't trust anybody or him around my kids because he clearly doesn't consider their feelings. Um, that experience really hurt me. I am damaged even more. I'm hurt. I'm broken. I know I will rise again because I'm strong, and I know my value. I know my worth, even though I don't always go on my value and my worth. I know, and I know that God will carry me through. I know that even though now I cry every day, I still cry for him. I do. Every day of my life, I still miss him. I do. I will be lying, and I try not to. I still miss him. I still cry. I still wish he will call. I still wish he will explain. I wish he will apologize. But my closure now is understanding that he may never do that. Some people are not mature enough to do that. Some men are not mature enough to understand the hurt they caused you and feel sympathetic or empathetic to that and apologize. For whatever reason, it could be he's heartless. It could be he's evil. He could be wicked. He could have been playing with us the whole time. He could have had no intentions of loving us. Bob Marley said it's the worst thing is basically a man that comes into a woman's life and awakens her love with no intentions of loving her back. When I read that quote by Bob Marley, I felt that. I felt it. It's like, did he really come into my life with no intentions of loving me, just awakening my love only to walk away? Because that's the only thing that can explain why he would just not answer my calls. He disregarded my text. He won't even respond to nothing. No matter what I send, I've sent him messages with me crying, just like breaking down. Nothing, no response. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to believe that he never really cared because he pretended to care so well, you know? But I am more than my trauma. That's what I'm starting to realize. I am more than my trauma. I am more than the hurt he caused me. And if he ever sees this video, I am more than the pain you caused me. I am more than the lies you told. I am more than the hurt you give. I am more than the destruction you tried to cause. I am more than the weakness you've made me show. I am so much more than you'll ever understand, and so much more than you will ever deserve. And I pray that if he's hearing, I pray that he find peace. I pray that he find peace in his life, because you have to have a horrible inside, a horrible heart, a horrible soul. You have to be soulless to do the things that you did to me recently. For anybody to do this to somebody, you have to have really lost contact with your soul. That what you must be what the Bible says, like you lost all natural affection. You know, the Bible mentioned that in last days, critical times, hard to deal with people who lose their natural affection. They will be lovers of themselves, unthankful, prideful, basically. And to me, you display a lot of those personalities. This man does, and I pray for anyone like that because where's your soul? You know, where's your soul? You can't identify with God if you're identifying with that, because that is all a part of a demonic. That's a demon way of thinking and mentality, actions. So I pray for him, and I pray for myself. I pray for the strength to stop crying. It's been almost a month now, and I'm still crying. Breaking up. There's stages. I'm right now at stage 5. I like to say I'm in stage 5, where it's the relapse. Some moments, some days I'm great. Some days I'm fine. Some days I'm like, I don't need him. Some days I'm like, look at what I've accomplished without him and without any other men. And then some days when the loneliness seeps in, like it does often, I relapse. I start playing back. Because the thing is about relationship, you might walk away from the person, but you can't walk away from your memories. Memories don't live like people do. I remember that song. I'm Jamaican, so memories don't live like people do. They always remember you. That's true. I wish I could erase my memories. I wish I could shut it off, but I can't. So sometimes my memories play back of the great moments we had, the wonderful, intelligent, spiritual conversations I used to have with this man, the little biblical notes we used to send each other in the morning, always by a explanation of it, always by a wishing each other well for the day, and just hearing him say things like he didn't want to have sex with me because he wanted to stand on his beliefs from God, and he got saved and baptized at 33. And to know all of these things and to see the outcome of who you are, it doesn't even add up. It doesn't even sound like the same person. So I'm more than my trauma, and I will get past this hurt. For anyone experiencing something similar, you will get past this hurt. We're in this together. I may not know you, you may not know me, you may not have walked in the same path, you may not be in the same walk of life, but we're in this together. Drop a comment. I hope you have a wonderful Friday, and I pray that I have one too.